Welcome to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast. I'm Sara Rosett.
And I'm Jami Albright. And this week we're talking.
We're talking about in-person events, meeting other people at in-person events and why you should do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before we get started, we have a message. Yeah. So if you guys want to communicate with us, one easy way to do it is you tap the link in the show notes that says send us a text or message the show. I forgot exactly the terminology. But you can send us a message, and we have one today from Tennessee, and it says, I'm a longtime listener, and I had a short stint as an indie author. However, life and writing went by the wayside, but I've been inhaling your new episodes as well as listening to older episodes over again, as I really miss writing and publishing and want to get back to it. Thank you so much for the podcast. Y'all are my favorite and are inspiring me to find passion for writing again. So thank you for sending that.
That's awesome.
Made my day.
Me too. Made me smile. So that's great.
Yeah. Let us know if you have thoughts on the episode. That's the fastest way to get to us. We won't be able to reply, but we will definitely see it.
And then I have something. Remember, we had Remy Flagg on the podcast. Remy's a cover designer as well as an author, and we talked about that when he came on. But he is doing this thing called Author Design Academy. It's not a course. It's completely free. It's just helping you to learn how to speak design when you talk to a cover artist, up your graphics game and stuff like that. I love it when people give free things to the community and give back to the community. And so that's what he's doing. We'll put the link in the show notes. If you guys are interested, you can go check that out. It's a great resource. I've been looking at it. Yeah.
And that is so difficult for graphically challenged, graphic design challenged people. Yeah. We'll have that link in the show notes. This week, instead of doing like an individual update, we'll just do that as we go.
Yeah. I told y'all I was doing the launch workshop. The first one's full. So I opened a second one, which is in September. If you're interested, we'll have the link in the show notes. Thank y'all so much. And I appreciate the support. And thanks to Melanie Harlow, who put it in her Harlot author group. And I got quite a few signups from there, and I got signups from the podcast. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. My whole update is going to be what we're talking about. So
all right, you go first.
Okay, here, I have a list, of course, because I don't want to forget anything. But so I went to Podcast Movement. We're recording this on Friday. I got back this week. And there are a couple of things that I think not everything applies in the writing world, but I think there's quite a few things that can be applied to what we're doing. And it's just interesting to see another industry and then think about how we could use that. It was a setup I had never seen before. And I don't know, maybe this is what they're doing with conferences now, but it was held in this huge room, like a big exhibit hall. They had all of the sponsors and exhibitors in the middle, all their booths in the middle. They had stages set up all around the room of different sizes. When you went in, you got a set of headphones and you put those on and you could switch channels to whichever stage you were at. I'd never seen anything like that. And I guess it was new for them too. They said they hadn't done that before. I don't think the speakers liked it as much as the audience members did, because it made it easy to pop in and out of talks. And I think it would have been really distracting if you were speaking to see people get up and leave, but people felt much freer to get up and leave than if the room had been closed off.
Yeah.
And it was much shorter. Talks for 20 or 30 minutes.
Wow.
And real fast paced. So I think the main reason to go to these things is, I think there's two things. You learn things because you go to these sessions, but then you meet people. And so I met lots of people. I knew nobody personally. I knew people online, but never had met them in person. I met Christoph from Auphonic, which we use, or when we first started, we used that to level our sound. Yeah. And I was like, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. And he's written a novel. And he was getting the rights back, and we talked about that. And he was looking to go the indie author path. And
that's cool.
Yeah. And then I met a lot of indie podcasters there. There were an awful lot of very corporate people that were corporate podcasts. That it felt like the difference in our world between trad authors and indie authors. So there were some that were very corporate and just felt like big productions, but I met plenty of indie authors too, or indie podcasters. I met the team from Buzzsprout, and they're the ones that host our podcast on their platform. and they're fantastic. Both their co-founders were there, along with their team of people who do the podcast with them. It's got to talk to them. They have great swag. So I think we should do a podcast sometime about swag. They had some great examples. They had pins that you could get, some milestone pins. You had been podcasting for 5, 10 years, whatever. You could get whatever pin matched your time, as well as your downloads and your, I forgot the other one. Episodes.
Yes.
So that was fun.
Great. That's great.
Yeah. But so I think that's one of the main reasons to go, is just to meet people, connect with them. And I actually met another indie podcaster who lives in North Houston. And I would never have known that if I hadn't gone. Some of the things that I think apply to us, one thing I noticed is that a couple of things that came up over and over again was discoverability and community. So indie podcasters are looking for ways to be discovered just like we are. And they're also looking for ways to connect. And many of the things that were talked about were the same things that we're trying to figure out in writing land. A couple of trends that were mentioned a lot were, one thing that came up a couple of times was local podcasting, which I've never thought about this, but like they think that's the next thing on the horizon, is that there will be podcasts, like a local sports podcast for Houston, or a local news podcast for Austin, or a local church community podcast for a certain region. And I hadn't thought about that. And I feel like that's similar to what we're doing in the publishing world, in that we're trying to make everything much more boutique in a way.
Yeah. A unique group.
Yeah. Like they have one thing in common. Everyone loves the same sports team. That's one thing they'll have in common, even if they live all dispersed across a certain area.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that was talked about a lot. And then community, that came up several times. There were several sessions on that. And the advice on that was really interesting, because one person, he said, start on day one, building your community. Don't wait and think, oh, I'll do that later. He said, go ahead and do it. And he said, just start one person at a time. Try and find ways to connect with people on and offline.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting too, that one of the things that was mentioned that I hadn't thought about was merch and community building. And one person said, the best way to use merch is as an add-on. So if you're doing a workshop like you're doing, one of the benefits could be you pay for the workshop and then you get this merch, this t-shirt.
With my face on it.
Yeah, because that's what we all want. But I thought that was an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it though.
Yeah, because a lot of people try and do merch separately. You sell the merch individually, but if you're bundling it with something else that has value for your audience. And then there were a couple of other things. They had a pitch session, and it was for podcasters trying to get supporters or subscribers. And they played a couple of pitches that people had given on their podcast, and then they critiqued them. And they said, this is what was good, this is what was bad.
Oh, really?
And it made me think about us when we pitch, hey, come over here and see my Kickstarter, or buy my special edition, or sign up to support me on Patreon or whatever. And there were quite a few there were a couple of things that came up over and over again. And the first thing they mentioned for a lot of them was that they need to be upbeat, and they need to not sound like you're just reading it really fast as you get through it. Take a moment and don't sound bored with it, and don't be apologetic. Don't be like, I kind of got this Kickstarter thing going, but I know you probably don't want it, but if you might want to check it out,
you
go over there.
might have time on a Thursday to check it out. Yeah.
And one thing that they talked about was create a name for your followers, for your group of people. Like Melanie Harlow, you were saying her group, she has a name for them.
I do too.
Yeah. What's your group named?
The Brightons.
Brightons. That's perfect.
I know. I came up with that before I ever published.
Because you were thinking long term.
A stroke of genius, people. Kidding.
You're thinking long term. You're doing good.
I was thinking long term. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of other things there, but that's probably enough about what was interesting. There were a couple of sessions on data, and
I missed that.
I know, it doesn't sound very exciting. And the woman who did it, she said, yep, this is about the size of the crowd I expected for data. But she gave some really good information, and she talked about surveying your audience, which we've done that for the podcast, and we've done that for I've done it for my readers. People always ask, are you married? Are you single?
Right.
Age, income bracket. But she said, one of the most important things that matters to find out is interests or hobbies. If you're an author, you could use this when you're running ads. Do people have pets? Do they travel? Are they into DIY? Are they crafters? What kind of movies and stuff do they watch? Because you could target all those interests and it could help you find your people. And she said the gold is in the lookalike audience, which if you're running Facebook ads, that's...
We know that, yeah.
Yeah. Jami knows that.
Yeah.
I don't do many ads. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So what was one thing you really took away, do you think?
Oh, I think about the community building and just some different ways to think about that. And I hadn't thought about some of the ways that were suggested, like doing a combination of on and offline, because I feel like we think, oh, it's either got to be an in-person event or like a Zoom call, but doing those together. One of the suggestions was just start doing free events. We've done this at the conferences where we meet up for coffee or a meal or something. Throw it out there and see if anybody shows up, and you may be surprised.
I'm always surprised when people... I
am too.
It's just, we got a table full of people. Oh my gosh.
Where did they come from? It's always awesome to meet people in person.
It is.
But and I think you have it's not part of my marketing plan. Like when it comes to books, especially. I think about that. I think about the release date and all the online stuff I can do. So not that, I mean, for me, my mix of online to offline would probably be more online, less in person, because that does wear me out. Whereas somebody who's a super extrovert would probably enjoy that more. And I think we could, I could partner with some other authors and we could do things, and that would take down the fatigue level for me, because I do enjoy meeting readers. Anyway, I would recommend it if you're a podcaster. Definitely go if you have a chance. It was in Dallas, so it was easy for me to get there and get back. And if anybody has gone to another type of industry conference and you've taken something away that you've been able to apply to writing, I would love to hear about it. Send us a text, send us a message.
And send us your suggestions on what we should call our listeners.
Yes.
The thinners. I don't know.
The wishers.
The wishers. I really like the thinners better, but The thinners.
Yeah, that would be very... only the in crowd would understand that. That is for sure.
Crowd, yeah. All right, we have a secret handshake. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about writing retreats now.
Yeah, I just got back from a writing retreat, and it was... So I've been to several writing retreats, and I've been to really big ones, like where there were 30 people there. We had 2 different houses, and it was like the houses were right next to each other, and you could walk from one to the other. And that one was big, and I was not expecting it. And I honestly wasn't expecting to really walk away knowing a ton of people better, except for the people I went with that I already knew. There were so many people there, but it actually turned out that I did. I walked away knowing several people a lot better. And so, but that was because of the structure, which I'll talk about. But this one was very small. So it was with a group of authors that I am online with. We have a group chat and everything. And so 2 years ago, we all went to Galveston, to the coast. They flew in. I picked them up. We all went to Galveston. We had a house down there. That's the one where we got locked out of the house.
You had an adventure.
We had an adventure. Thanks, Lucy. And then there were 5 of us then. For this one, we were supposed to all 5 go, and then 2 of them couldn't go at the last minute. Of us go. And so I was a little worried that it was just going to be 3. Would it be okay? And it turned out to be really great. But what I was going to say is that there are small and large ones. The smaller ones can be less structured, I think. And 2 years ago when we did this one, only one of us wrote. The rest of I wasn't writing, and then the rest of us just, some people did some ads, but we talked a lot about writing and about publishing and just things that were happening, ideas that were going on. When it's a larger one, I think you do need more structure. And the larger one that I went to did have structure. Like we wrote in the mornings, and there was a quiet house, and then there was a less quiet house.
A noisy house.
And for those people who weren't writing or finished their writing, and then we all had meals together, and then in the evenings we broke into groups, and they came up with questions we broke up into small groups, and we had questions so we could get to know each other, and then we would talk about publishing challenges or things that were working really well. And so that was really great. And I was, again, surprised at how well that one went. given the amount of people that were there. But this one was very, again, small. There were only 3 of us, and we were at one of the author's houses. She had offered her house, and so that was really great. But I was a little afraid that since we were at her house, she would do her house stuff and not that it would just be easier for us to kind of split up as opposed to being together. But it didn't work that way, and I was really glad. But I think it's important that when you go on these retreats that you guys, whoever's in charge or whoever's going, set the expectations ahead of time. If you're not going to write, or if it's not a strictly writing retreat, but it's a writer's retreat, then you let that be known. If it is a retreat where everyone's going to be writing, then you need to know that too. And there needs to be a schedule for that. But this one, we did write in the mornings, but we went to Hershey, Pennsylvania, to the Hershey factory, and that was fun, and just things like that. And we sat around and talked a lot about publishing and about what was coming next, and we brainstormed some things. I told them about my book, and they helped me with a few things, and it just creates an environment where you can really focus on your writing. It creates an environment where you can focus on your ideas and your relationships. And I think that's really important, especially this business that is so isolating, that we have times where we can come together with authors. And especially like even in like conferences are good to come together, but you don't get the same thing as you do when you're eating, hanging out together with other people.
Yeah, a small group is a different experience than a large conference, because when you go to a large conference, you can meet lots of people, and you probably will have a couple of people that you'll see and hang out with. But I think a writing retreat, you get to know people even better.
Yes.
And maybe you can talk about some of the deeper subjects or things that are more concerning. Like I don't think most people are brainstorming books and plot lines and things at a writer's conference, because there's too much going on. It's too busy.
But you also get personal. If you want to get personal, you get personal, and that just deepens your bonds with other people. I know a lot of people going, "Oh, holy crap, no, I'm not doing that," and that's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. You do need to trust the people you're with, and that's important. And so I don't know that I would do, like, that big one was with a lot of people that I didn't know, but it wasn't like we were all thrown together all the time.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do a small one, it probably needs to be with people and people you trust. But it's just really good. It's good for rest and just camaraderie. We all have struggles in this. And I know a lot of people are like, it's easy for you, Jami, because you're an extrovert. But the thing is, I'm not really as much of an extrovert as I used to be before my sister passed away. I am more of an introvert now. I can be extroverted and I don't mind it, but I like my alone time. I like spend time when nobody's talking to me. Yeah.
But there's a benefit to meeting one-on-one or one-on-3 or 4 or 5 that you just don't get. Even if you do a Zoom call, it's just it's a different type of interaction, and it's worth it to take the time. And for me, I'm way more of an introvert than you are. And at this conference, I went to the orientation thing and met some people there, but it was so big that I hardly saw any of those people later. And they did have the app thing where you can connect with people through the app, but I don't know that a lot of people actually checked that to see if people were connecting with them.
Yeah.
But I saw a woman that had sat at my table at the orientation, and she was talking with somebody else at one of these little high tables they had set up. I walked up there and said, "Can I join you guys?" And they were like, "Sure." And then they went, "Oh, we've met." I was like, "Yeah, weren't we at the same?" And so you just have to take that first step, which is really hard. And I didn't do it a whole lot, but I did it enough. I met some new people, and it's worth it to do it. It's hard.
Yeah.
But I have a question.
You didn't have your social support human.
I know it. I missed you. And I think if we go again, we should go together. If I go again, you should come with me. But I have some questions about the writing retreat. Do you think it's important to have people from the same genre that you're in, or does it not matter?
I think it's more beneficial to
Get
have
more out of
people
it
from the same genre. Yeah, I think you get more out of it because you're all dealing with specifically the same things. Romance writers deal with things that are specific to them, and it's different than, let's say, mystery writers.
Sci-fi or mystery or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Just the way we deal with our audiences are different.
Yeah. And then I have a couple of writer friends, and we've talked several times about doing a writing retreat and making the plans to get everything together. It just never came together. No one ever took the initiative.
Yeah, somebody has to say, I'm going to do it.
Down on something.
Exactly.
Somebody has to take charge and do that, right? You've got to have one person. It's probably best if it's just one person organizing it. Yeah.
And like 2 years ago when we did this one, a friend of mine has a house that she lets me use sometimes. And so I said, hey, I had asked her, could I do this? And she said, sure. And so I said, I have a house. It is free. If you want to come, we can do it. And so that's an easy thing. Traveling
that's
is hard.
much easier. Yeah.
It's easier, but traveling is hard. One comes from California, one comes from Pennsylvania, comes from Louisiana. It's not easy, but it's easier if you're for the cost wise, if you're not having to pay for it. And because we were at this other person's house this time, it was just our flights. And my friend Erica and I we were flying from Houston, and we were on the plane, and the guy said, yeah, that one of our vents isn't working. It's getting really hot up here. I'm not accepting this aircraft. So we had to get off and
rescheduled.
God bless. We were already in Pennsylvania before they took off. That flight took off. God bless Erica, because if it hadn't been for her, I would still be walking around that terminal going, what do I do? What do I do? Because I had put on my princess travel hat and I wasn't in take charge mode. But she was, before we ever got off the plane, she was already online. On
rebooking you somewhere else.
And we were able to rebook. But it was a bit of an ordeal because my leg, it was crazy. So traveling is hard, but our flights, we were able to book them far enough in advance that they weren't that expensive. And so you don't have the cost of a place to rent, makes it easier. But not everybody has that. So you're right. Somebody has to take the initiative and say, okay, I'm going to do this. Who wants to come?
And just see what the response is. Yeah. Well, did y'all cook for yourselves? Did you go out to eat? What did y'all do?
We cooked when we were in Galveston. We cooked for ourselves every day, every night, and then we had food, just sandwiches and stuff for lunch, breakfast. But we cooked for ourselves every night but one, and we went to Galveston one day. We were away from Galveston, but we went to Galveston and spent the day there. But yeah, each of us took a turn and we cooked. Here, I cooked one night, and then we either ordered in or went out.
Yeah, we did a couple of things like that where like they weren't writing retreats, but meet up, friend reunion type thing. Everybody took a meal, and we just were like, okay, we'll do breakfast this day and dinner this day. Just coordinated it out. And that made it pretty easy. It wasn't too much of
it's not too much of a
hassle.
It was great. And I highly recommend it. And if you got one going on, let me know because I like them.
Jami will come. Oh yeah. So we recommend getting out of the writing cave every once in a while. Just get out in the real world for a little bit. And you can meet some new people and learn some stuff and make some new connections or deepen the connections you have. I think that's the difference between a conference and a writer's retreat. With a writer's retreat, you get to know people a little bit better.
Yeah. The best of all worlds is a conference and then a retreat right after, because then you can talk about the things you learned at the conference.
That is a good idea.
Yeah. But a lot of people, I've heard a lot of stories from people like they got their big idea, like their breakout idea at a writer's retreat, because you're with people who care about you, and everyone's thinking, how can we help the other person? What's an idea we can come up for that if that person wants the idea?
There's an energy or something.
There is an energy.
And a focus that you maybe don't get normally.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that pretty much covers it. I don't think we have anything else, right?
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. We don't have any new supporters this week, but if you want to support the podcast, we would love it. And we appreciate all our supporters that we do have that have stuck with us for so long and just been so supportive. If you do want to support the podcast, you will have access to the backlist of supporter episodes and the Slack group, and we'll give you a shout out on the air with your emoji of choice. And a big thank you from Jami and I. So,
yes,
and if you've received value from the podcast, we would appreciate your support. And if you can't support through like money, supporting the podcast, financial, then spread the word about the podcast, share it with a friend. Leave a review, something like that. That'd be awesome. So we appreciate all of that.
Yes, we do. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate it very much.
All right. So we will have those links that we mentioned earlier in the show notes, and those will be at wishidknowforwriters.com. And if you want to support the podcast, you can go to that same link /support. And we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.